Welcome back to Up the Villa podcast and Transfer Hub, your home of Aston Villa's transfer news, breaking news, daily news, and everything else on this channel over the course of the summer. So we've got some news, we've got some transfer news. Aston Villa are jostling for Kieran Tierney from Arsenal. And I've got to be honest, it's one I actually like. I really like this one. I like the sound of it. Kieran Tierney, left back, signed by Unai Emery at Arsenal. I just like the vibe of it. We know that Alex Moreno is going to be out, so he's going to be out until the start of the new season. When that injury hit, that led me to think that we would potentially be signing a left back, because what's happened with Unai Emery at Aston Villa is he's done a remarkable job, Unai Emery has. But we are yet to know which Villa players he actually really rates, because there might be some players in this squad which he doesn't actually rate and he doesn't want to keep and he's happy to move on. Now, he might want to keep every single one of them, but I do think there might be a couple that he would possibly like to move on. And one of them was Luca Dean. Now, I know he had a really good game towards the back end of the season against Brighton, but if I'm being totally honest, I don't think he's an out-and-out Unai Emery left-back. I think he was always going to be cover to Moreno anyway, but now Moreno's injured, do we feel like Luca Dean is going to be first-choice left-back? I would say no, because they're two totally different players. I think Luca Dean offers a little bit more defensive work. I think going forward, he's not as dynamic as Moreno. And I think in this current system that we play, Moreno is the one that offers the width. He offers the attacking intent on that left-hand side. And that is technically where Moreno plays. He's practically a winger in this system. So does Luca Dean do that same job? No, he doesn't. So are we okay with Luca Dean being second best, being a player that doesn't offer the same, but offers something a little bit more defensive? Then, okay, that's fine. But do we go down a different route where we sign a left back that is pretty similar to what Moreno does? And I would say that one makes a little bit more sense to me. You could potentially keep three left backs, because we are in Europe. But I do think it makes sense to have more or less a like for like in that current system, because that's how we're going to be playing on that left-hand side. So Tierney, I've rated him ever since he's been at Arsenal, because I rate that sort of, he's cut from the same cloth as John McGinn. He's cut from the same cloth as Robertson. They've just got that Scottish tenacity in their game, haven't they? Every time you watch those three players, they've got that sort of aggressive tenacity, and that's one thing that I really like when I watch those players. He's up and down, he's tenacious, he's dogged, he's determined, but he offers that threat going forward. I love that he's old school, tucks his shirt into his shorts. You don't see that nowadays, do you? But it's raining and he's out there short sleeve, and that's what we want when we are in sort of like the back end of this Europa tour and it's cold and it's snowy. If we're going into some of these certain clubs, you want a Kieran Tierney in his shorts, in his short sleeve top. When everyone else is in gloves, Tierney's in his short sleeves, tucked in. So yeah, I think he's a really good player. Unai Emery signed him, so there's always that relationship. There's always going to be these links between players that Unai Emery's had and that could potentially come back and play for Unai Emery. But I just think I'd probably say he's not as attacking as Moreno, but he's a little bit more in between a Luca Dean and a Moreno, which I think is a slightly better fit. So let's have a look at some of his stats. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts on Tierney? Can you see him potentially coming in? Do you agree that you maybe think we are in the market for another left back? We are going to be in the market for a right back, because Ashley Young has left as well. So I think fullbacks are definitely going to be the area that we're going to look at. So I'm going to highlight firstly his first season, the season under Unai Emery. He was signed for 25 million. He played 15 games, started 12. Goal conversion 17%. But I want to go down here first. I want to show you this. Successful dribbles 80%. Total duels won 60%. Ground duels won 69%. Aerials 38%. So pretty high stats on the ground duels, total duels won. Tackles per game 1.3. Clearances per game 2.0. Accuracy in his own half 83%. So if we have a look at the season before that one as well, he played 27 games, started 26. We had successful dribbles 53%, total duels won 43%, ground duels won 49%. He had possession won 0.2, clearances per game 2.1. He had 8 clean sheets. He had 80% passing accuracy, 87% in his own half, 64% in the opposition half. And if we go to this season, bit part player, wasn't he? He played 27 games, started 6. So he's really sort of fell out of favour at Arsenal now, hasn't he? He's really sort of dropped off. Still had a passing accuracy in his own half, 83%. Opposition half, 69%. He had total duels won this season, 72%. You know, he's played in the Premier League. He's played in the Scottish League with Celtic. He's played in the Champions League. He's got a 6.93 in the Champions League. He has got a UEFA Nations League 7 rating. He has got a Scottish Premiership. I don't think it's given a rating for that. So if we have a look at his market value is 25 million. That's technically what they're signing for as well. So Arsenal wouldn't be losing any money on Kieran Tierney. His market value did rise a little bit to around 32 million, and that was in 2021. So he's a Scottish international. He's played 37 games for Scotland. He's scored 1 goal. He's played all the way through the Scottish youth system as well, under 18s, under 19s. And this is where you can see his percentile line per 90. So he gets off 1.20 shots per 90, 0.14 assists per 90, shot created actions 1.69, which is actually, I think that's okay, to be fair. Passing attempts 60, passing completion 77% per 90, progressive passes per 90 is 5.15, which is really high. Progressive carries per 90, 2.89, which is really high as well. So his stats are really good for a player that's sort of not playing for Arsenal that much anymore. But I would be more than happy with Kieran Tierney coming into Aston Villa. I think that would be a real savvy signing. Not going to start every game, but he would offer competition for Moreno going forward as well. And I think if you're saying you've lost Ashley Young's sort of experience, his know-how, his sort of personality traits of wanting to win, willingness to win, an aggression and a belief, I think Tierney would bring that at Aston Villa. You know, he's won trophies at Arsenal. He's played at the highest level. So I think he would bring good attributes to Aston Villa. So for me, I kind of like this one. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on Kieran Tierney. It does sound like the jostling is with Newcastle. I think that's something that we've got to get used to in this window. We're going to be jostling with a lot of different players. So from teams like Newcastle, because we're trying to compete at that top end of the Premier League in that sort of bracket. So, you know, you can understand where those rumours and those links are coming from. But Tierney, for me, I like it. I like the sound of it. So Villa fans, let me know what your thoughts are. Up the Villa.